Morning Majlis, talking the stories that are shaping headlines. This is Pulse 95.
Let's talk homework. Homework in general. Let's talk about school homework. I mean, we all do our own homework. Mothers do homework with their children. We as employees, we do our homework for our own job, or for example, presentations that we prepare, and for anything that our, for example, employer asks us for. And we all do homework somehow, in one way or another, but it comes in different forms. Now we're talking about school homework for children. China has just now passed an education law that seeks to cut the twin pressures of homework and off-site tutoring.
Thank you, China. Well done, China.
In core subjects, according to what they have announced lately. So Beijing has exercised a more assertive paternal hand this year, from tackling the addiction of youngsters to online games deemed a form of spiritual opium, to clamping down on blind worship of internet celebrities. And on Monday, actually, China's parliament said that it would consider legislation to punish parents if their young children exhibit very bad behavior, or even, God forbid, commit crimes.
And it's part of several initiatives by China's government in line with trying to maintain children's health, mental and physical health alike. And putting this in perspective, in East Asian countries, their school systems tend to be extremely competitive, and kids as young as elementary school spend hours every day solving problems and doing homework to try and get a high enough average so that later on in life they can go to a highly competitive college as well. So people are studying all day and all night, and it's taken a mental and physical toll on those children, according to experts. And this is what the Chinese government is trying to address. So they're trying to limit, for instance, the number of exams, trying to limit the burden of homework as well. They say it could cause damage to eyesight. It could also impact their mental health. And the time spent doing homework is time not spent on physical activity instead. So that's the general sentiment of what they're going with here.
It's great. I think it's wonderful that they've come back with this with such an initiative, because we've seen that in India as well. For example, the school curriculum can be so difficult that young students have a norm that after they're done with their normal schooling hours, they're going for a private tuition.
Yeah.
And this is ridiculous. And I remember when I was growing up, I had loads of friends who did go through the schools of that era, and they were obviously not very, very pleased, and they were disappointed with the tuition that they had to go through, and had to go through a very, very difficult time. The day was pretty much occupied of just doing schoolwork, and it's great that such a law has been passed. Now, I was such a student that hated homework with a passion. My student planner, or student diary, depending on which kind of a school you went to, would have red marks of the teacher with the red pencil, saying you forgot to do the homework.
We don't like red marks. We used to hate that.
I used to try do you know that we used to call it the white ink? You cover it up.
You cover it up so your parents don't see it.
Yeah, I used to cover it up, and then the teachers would see it the next day, be like, "What happened here?" And then my student planner was very bad. I was so embarrassing.
Yeah.
That I just hated homework. I just didn't understand the fact that why should I, after spending from 7:45 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon, still have to do work when I'm back at home? Who's ever going to check for my homework? And my teachers used to scare me to the max and say, "You're never going to get a job. Your employer will look at your student planner."
It's always that student that gets the best job. To be honest, I don't want to promote this, but it's funny how the world always works out.
Yeah.
But no, for me, I was a nerd, actually. I was such a nerd. I would come back from school, and I would just, before even having my lunch, I would start doing my homework.
Very nice.
I would just do it immediately, and just I remember I used to turn the music on in the background, and just have this. I'd have my cup of Nescafe, and then I would just sit there and just do my homework until I'm done. Then I will go back to my normal life, go play, go watch TV, do all these things. I was such a nerd, and I remember all the PTA meetings. I would always I want to go and I'll push my parents to go to those meetings. And they're like, we don't have to go. I mean, they always say good things about you. I'm like, that's the point. I want to see that happiness in your eyes when you go and see my teachers. So they're just like, okay. So they just go, and it's like, you should be proud. I mean, they say good things about me. I'm an A student as well. It's like,
well, the other thing too about homework is I think it's different for everybody. So for me, for example, because my mom used to be a math teacher, so all the math homework,
nice.
I sometimes sit with her and she would tutor me and stuff, and I would get help from her and stuff. But I think for a lot of kids today as well, you get a lot of homework assignments, but you also have a lot of resources to consult and people. And if not that, then you show up the next morning and you ask me for my notebook so you can copy my homework, and I would gladly give it away.
You were that kind of a person that would give it away.
I just give it away. I'd be like, sure.
And would you? But so I'm guessing you're not that student that hides their answers when they're during
in
a
the
test.
test. I would not hide my answers.
You're so
but
nice.
I wouldn't go out of my way to like do anything. But if people want to peek a little bit, I'm here.
Really? What about you, AK?
Well, I was very scared because of
Would you show your answers?
I wouldn't cheat from people, but people would look at my papers.
Yeah, I'd never cheat.
But the thing is, this is where the problem lies, that even if you've assisted others, you are part of plagiarism.
Yeah, of course.
And this is what we were very scared of. And they used to scare us a lot by saying, look, if you plagiarize work, your employer will know. This will go in your record.
Yeah.
The EdXL and AQA will put you down. The education board. So this is what we were always scared of.
But did you know that the current president of the United States, Joe Biden, was caught plagiarizing in college? So if the president can do it.
Wow. They
really
have
was.
this
in university.
records.
He plagiarized papers.
They
and they have a
this
record
in the records.
to this day. Yeah.
See, that's why I have to be careful, guys. You never know. Maybe you'll be the next president of a country or the prime minister or anything. And then they're going to blackmail you with this later on. So you got to be careful. No plagiarism.
Yeah, let's keep our hopes up and let's get everyone involved.
But I mean, now with the online education, how are they gonna? I mean, what's the plagiarism? Going to Google? That's what they do.
Google, yeah.
It's like normal.
Wikipedia.
No more. I mean, I don't think children now, like with the online education, they don't have those stories to tell in the future.
Yeah.
It's like, the stories that we're sharing right now. It's like,
sure.
This guy or the other students used to be cheating from me, and I would also, cheat from the. You can't, I mean, with them, they can't really tell those stories anymore.
And all the kids have credit card, like they have access to their parents' credit card. They
Exactly.
just pay someone online and just do it.
So sad.
They do these things now.
The world has changed.
It has evolved, hasn't it? It's just opened up more opportunities for that. Well, guys, what we'll do is ask all of you to stay with us here on the Morning Majlis. In fact, we'll return right after the business headlines. So we want you to enjoy the musical entertainment that we have on offer for you here on Pulse 95. And we shall be right back, and we'll continue the discussions from there on. This is the Morning Majlis only on Pulse 95.
Pulse 95. Between local lines. Notes from the Emirate.
The Sharjah Foundation to support pioneering entrepreneurs, called Rawad, of the Sharjah Economic Development Department, put together a virtual training program called How to Become a Successful Franchiser. 20 male and female entrepreneurs participated, and Jassim Al-Bastaki, the trainer and businessman, presented this 3-day program. His Excellency Hamad Ali Abdullah Al-Mahmoud, director of Rawad, said that the UAE is the ideal destination for franchising with many international companies. He said this type of business, however, still needs more awareness among entrepreneurs who wish to enter this world and establish their small and medium enterprises.
His Excellency also said that the number of member projects of Rawad that operates on the franchise system is about 43 projects, including 36 projects for entrepreneurs, 6 projects for women entrepreneurs, and 1 joint project. His Excellency also pointed out that entrepreneurs today are more in need of developing their knowledge of the concept of franchising as an option for business. Now, the training program, it included 5 main axes represented in the definition of the concept of franchising and its importance and advantages, and the strategic structure of franchise, the legal aspect regulating it, and also the types of contracts in them as well. Now, in addition to the nature of the relationship between the two parties to the relationship and franchise agreements, namely the grantor and also the grantee, and the success factors of each party.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing to see how they've conducted this this workshop, because it's just such a great business model, and a lot of people love trying it out as a way of starting their business. So the trainer Al-Bastaki also explained that the strategic planning is very important in enabling the entrepreneur to practice this type of a business successfully. This included the correct selection of the site, supply chain, determining the costs of obtaining the franchise, marketing for the project, and other legal aspects, and areas of technical and logistical support. Now, we've seen a number of large business, family business conglomerates who run franchisees or are franchisees over here in the United Arab Emirates, and I'm just going to go through some of the top lists, because this reminds me of what I used to do back in my business studies days in GCSEs, and I'm just looking at the advantages and disadvantages of running a franchise business. They listed saying that it's easier to make money, it's lower risk for a new entrepreneur than setting up a new business, which is understandable because obviously you're working on an established business. But one big disadvantage is, because when we become entrepreneurs, we want to feel like we're empowered. We can come up with big decisions. But the problem is the franchisee cannot make individual business decisions without consulting the franchisor. So, for example, I run a McDonald's chain under Abdul Foods LLC here in the in Khorfakan, for example. I can't come up with the idea of saying I'm going to launch a Khorfakan burger until I speak to the chain and people in the McDonald's hierarchy who will most likely reject the idea. Mm-hmm. But if I set up a burger chain saying KF Burger, of course KFC might have a problem with me, but I'll say KF Burger, and then I come up with a Khorfakan Burger, then people will like it. So it's great that you've got to understand the advantages and disadvantages of running such a franchise. It's because people, when they become entrepreneurs, they want to feel like they're empowered. But when you're a franchisee, you're not that empowered, and you have to go by the cleanliness, the quality, the aesthetics, the colors of. Yeah. You're still working under someone else.
The thing is, though, it's less risky. I think that's the big appeal here. It's a less risky investment. It's less likely to fail as well because people already know the brand. And some franchises are purportedly easier to acquire as well. I read, for instance, the Subway is fairly easy to set one up if you want to, compared to like a McDonald's, as you had stated. True. So
True. That's very, very true. And of course, there's a lot of people who are locally owned businesses, for example, and they want to create more branches. Then having a franchisee take over then your name and open another branch is also useful. But then again, you have to be very strict on how well they manage the quality of a gym or let's say a restaurant that you own. So it's great to get into this business model. It's always good to explore ideas. But glad that Rawad has organized such an event. Very, very useful for entrepreneurs and very, very useful to get some mentorship in. But stay with us on the Morning Majlis. Up next, we talk to you about another topical discussion. Another very, very important aspect is getting these early screenings done. So in line with International Breast Cancer Awareness Month, 06 Mall is also conducting a number of screenings at different locations. What's going on? All of this will be discussed right here on the Morning Majlis. But before that, we leave you with a bit of Coldplay to have a wonderful cold morning here in the Emirate of Sharjah.
If you liked this episode of The Morning Majlis, drop a like and subscribe.
95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.
Pulse.